Hey, welcome to the show. Special guest today, Sebastian Noel, the host of the Local Focus and also a broadcaster for ProView Networks. And we're going to have a little fun today. Sebastian, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited.
Well, I'll tell you, we're going to talk a little bracketology, and,
That's
and,
right.
and I know you guys did a great job on doing the bracketology on Saturday night, and you may be a step ahead of me, but I seem to always come through in the clutch. So, let's kind of break this thing a little different this year. There's only 8 teams in the
Right.
in the thing, but I will make one prediction before we even start that Roswell is going to move to the semifinals.
Well, there you go. You got one game on me already, then. Huh?
I just want it on record that they are on to the semifinals, and so let's throw that bracket up a little bit, would you please, Alden? Go ahead, go through that for us.
Well, I mean, first is the number 1 seed, Cleveland against Santa Fe. Like you said, Steve, with the 8 teams, the way you really have to look at this is, if this was a regular tournament, all 8 of these teams would have a home game. That's how good they are.
Well, 4 of them are going to get a home game now.
Right.
But you look at this, and they're not going to go to the pit. And talk on that just a little bit, tell me the sequence of this week.
Yeah, so the higher seed will get their home games through the Final Four. Only the championships at the pit. So you could have a scenario where Las Cruces is an undefeated defending champion. Well, we do have that scenario. They have to travel to the Final Four to play at Roswell. Roswell will be rested now. Carlsbad had a positive case, so they had to forfeit that game. And I know that's
my
tough.
prediction.
I know. But that's a tough way to lose that to end your season. And Coach Zumbrin, who I know a little bit, comes over from the girls' side, takes over on the boys' side. They were peaking at the end of the year. They already beat Roswell once. I think they would have had a very good chance at beating Roswell a second time. So that's unfortunate.
Well, it is. You know what? For this, the letdown for that. I mean, I'm just saying, everybody in the state, just made this thing happen. Okay, and then all of a sudden it comes up, the day before the game that somebody comes positive. All the work they put into it, it just shows you that we haven't won this battle yet against
Right.
COVID. But so let's just break down this Cleveland. Let's just start with number 1, and then we'll just go with Cleveland and go versus Santa Fe. 2 district teams that played each other. 2 great coaches. Give me your thoughts.
Well, Cleveland's number 1 for a reason. That's for sure. So you have to start there. They have a great basketball team. They've played a really tough schedule, so they're battle tested. They have wins against
12 games.
Right. They were able to play outside of their district, so that's essentially why they're the number 1 seed, because they were able to get wins against Roswell and teams outside their district. But let's start with the players. You got Trey Watson. We've seen what he can do, especially in a tournament setting. He can kind of put a team on his shoulder, and he's got a thing for big games, right? And then Nate Hasbury right behind him. Really, that's a 1-2 punch that's kind of pretty unguardable, because if Santa Fe puts their big PJ Lovato on Watson, who's going to guard Hasbury? They got a nice backcourt. I love Diego Sharp, the way he defends. And that's really their thing this year, is defending. I think this is the best defensive team Coach Jimenez has had since his time there. So obviously they have the advantage going into this. They are the number 1 seed. But Santa Fe, they're not your average 8, right? Coach Cole does such a good job. They can play fast. They can execute in the half court. They could guard you. PJ Lovato has played out of his mind in the second half of the season, so they have a big. I wouldn't be shocked. At the end of the night tonight, if somebody texts me or I see a score that has Santa Fe winning that game, I wouldn't be shocked.
Well, I would. I really think. I just think Cleveland is, so talented, playing at home. I'm a big home court guy.
Yes.
When I'm speaking of this, I look at the home court of these teams, and I think they have an advantage. And Cleveland got a big gym, so they're going to put quite a few people, more people than a lot of schools will be able to put into the gym.
Remember, these teams played, Steve. Santa Fe had it to a possession at halftime, and then Cleveland just turned it on in the second half.
Well, the thing about Santa Fe is that they're guard orientated. When you're guard orientated, that means you can control the tempo. The key for Santa Fe, if they can hit their shots. I mean, and everybody says that, but I'm just saying the defense. One of the reasons Cleveland's number one, their defense is tough.
Oh, it's amazing.
When they're on all cylinders and then when they're clicking on all deal, they're hard to score against. So each possession Santa Fe has, they must score in that possession to make this a game. And if they're hitting their threes, which they shoot a lot of threes, and then they have a lot of confidence in their threes, is going to be one of the reasons they can win the game.
I think what has to happen, a lot has to go right for Santa Fe to win this game. Starts with Cruz Martinez. He cannot turn over the basketball. Has to be in complete control of the basketball. Cody Garcia, amazing guard. He can shoot the three. He can do a lot. But I think if Cruz turns the ball over at all, Cleveland will win this game pretty easily. So that's tough. That's a tough assignment for your point guard. Pretty much no margin for error. Can't turn it over. So, and if it comes down, I think what Santa Fe has to hope for, Steve, is this is a possession or two game with a couple of minutes to go, and Cleveland gets tight.
Well, I think that's with any game. Okay, I'm just saying, but I don't know that it's going to be a Coach Cole's, I tell you what, a guy that knows how to keep his composure during the game, knows when to use his timeouts, and has the confidence of his players when he talks with them in the preparation of this game. On paper, Cleveland should be the team that wins, but if they don't come out, if they don't come out and play 4 quarters, they have a tendency not to play for 4 quarters, and,
right.
and then that's. You cannot at this time, at this stage of the year, you cannot be. You got to be able to play 4 quarters.
It's going to be critical for Santa Fe to get off to a quick start. Remember that game against Albuquerque High that they lost. The reason they're an 8 seed is because they lost to Albuquerque High. They scored 2 points in the first quarter. Coach Cole said they couldn't hit anything. Field goals, free throws, you name it, they couldn't make it. This is not a team this is not an Antonio Lovato, J.B. White firepower team. If they get behind, I don't know if they have the offensive firepower to make up a big lead.
All right, so just put you on the spot. Cleveland, Santa Fe. Who's your pick?
I like the Storm.
So do I, and I we're going to come back in the next segment. We're going to break down the Sandia Trisco Heritage game, and I think that's maybe the game that is going to be the most interesting to watch as far as 2 teams that are playing at the top of their game.
Yeah, we're doing that game tonight, and man, have I been looking forward to it.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to go to the Dream Style Top 10 Plays of the Week and come back and talk about that Sandia Trisco Heritage game.
Passing angles are hard, yeah. Another reason. What a scoop shot by Lamar Rogers. That's going to be on someone's top 10, believe me.
Luna almost strips it away. Perea is there, and the feed to Rogers, the finish underneath. Strips Luna with it in transition. King with the big block off the board.
Kaplan puts it on the deck, goes through contact, great pass inside to Rogers. Rogers scores easy. 8 points.
And a steal. And a steal.
Corner
Perea.
three for Perea's up. It's good.
Oh, he got it.
Perea has 4 threes for 16 points in the first half.
Good ball movement. Watson gets it in right-handed and makes it. Jaded ideas.
Oh, great pass to Rogers. Reverse layup is up and good. Another highlight move by Lamar Rogers.
he's just a guard right now. He's not a.
Between the legs, loses Parham, fires a straightaway three. It's good. Sean Johnson has it going from all ends of the floor. Look at the Sandia bench.
With kids, it's just. Oh, here comes
the pass. Let's see if King tries to.
Oh, yes,
and he does. Puts it down on the one-hand jam. What an outlet pass from Master Taplin. They get it into Barella. 10 seconds left. Barella double team. Someone's got to be open to Valencia with 6 seconds left. 5 seconds left. 3 seconds left. Valencia spin cycle. Puts it up for the win. Scores. It's over. El Dorado wins 39-37. What a job, or what a shot by Haley Valencia. Took the ball in the right wing with 3 seconds left, drove to the basket, and El Dorado wins 39-37. Haley Valencia will be our Jackson Compaction Player of the Game. We'll be back for an interview with Haley Valencia after these messages. You're watching ProView Networks.
Here's Savic, 10 seconds left. All by herself is Jersey Jones. Jones loses control. Jones kicks it out. Love, Ottman for the game. Ottman at the buzzer. La Cueva wins 64-61, avenging their only loss of the season.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. Got Sebastian Noel, host of Locus Focus and also broadcaster for ProView Networks. And so we got one game down. We got Cleveland moving forward. This next game is probably, you and I have talked about it. This is what a game this. You know, we've been doing a lot of Sandia games. I have personally, and this team is peaking. They can't be playing any better right now. And then they're playing against Adrian Taggart. Probably in the top 10, him and Coach Benjamin, their records probably top 2 coaches in the state of New Mexico. Break it down for me.
There's so much to unpack here. You're right. I mean, nobody's playing any better than Sandia right now. Nobody's dominating games like Sean Johnson right now on both ends of the floor. You know, not only is he scoring at will, let's start at the offensive end. He can get it on the block and go. Then if the defense adjusts to that, he'll start catching it high at the top of the wheel and create from there. You saw in the top 10 plays, he can stick a 3 right in your face. And then the other end, he's rebounding like crazy. He's averaging close to a double-double this year. I don't know if we've seen this, Steve, for a while now. I mean, a player just dominate the end of their season, their entire district season. I mean, I was trying to think back my 4 years here at ProView, and then even through my PA years, I can remember Alex Kirk's senior year when Los Alamos was in that Del Norte district. He kind of dominated like a little bit, but no, I've never seen anything like it.
Well, you're exactly right, but I think that what makes Santa even more dangerous and the reason they're playing at such a high level is the supporting cat. Lobato's really unbelievable. His confidence level is. And then the other players, they're stepping up right now, and they just really look good right now.
Yeah, and Atrisco, well, obviously Adrian always has his boys playing well at this time, but I think he even kind of admitted to me that he has been pleasantly surprised at Colby Wade, how great he's been playing. He knew he would be good, but he didn't think he would be as dominant as he has been. And that's an interesting matchup because he's pretty athletic, and he's pretty strong, and he's very quick. Probably a very good big to match up with Sean, right? Not a lot of teams have that. And then you got Malachi Crawford from those championship teams off the bench. So I think Coach Ortega is well equipped to have 2 guys that can at least contain. You can't stop.
I think the word is contain.
Right. So then the question becomes, who are they going to put on Eli Lovato, right? Eli's been working in the post a little bit, really getting inside.
And they're not running that little clear out.
Right.
They give him the ball to give him a little bit of flexibility. And the same thing that they're doing with Johnson. They're letting them create.
Right. But when Danny's done that, it's when Eli's had a smaller guard on him or a mismatch. I would think, and I don't know. I think Coach Ortega might put Javier Mendoza on Lovato. Now you have a guy that's a little taller, a little stronger, a little longer. Does Danny go away from that clear-out move, or does he still go to it? So then the key becomes the third, fourth, and fifth guys for Sandia, because we had a nice matchup at the top two spots there.
Well, I think, you know, and I've said this, is Danny Brown's team still a bit younger, and I think you even...
They'll tell you that. They'll say he's 1 year ahead of schedule.
1 year ahead of schedule. And the question mark I have, and I think he has himself, is that are they happy to be here? Okay, I mean, and now, but they've been, you know, first of all, they won their district outright.
Right.
And that's no easy feat. You got El
That is a
Dorado,
great district.
Unbelievable district. So he wins that, and can they keep maintaining that? So where are they mentally to play this game? And that's we'll find out. It's going to be played tonight at 6 o'clock at Atrisco Heritage.
I will say though, Steve, on the Atrisco side, one thing about Atrisco, when it came down to the crunch time in the tournament, every single time they needed a bucket, they could just get the ball to Josiah Ramos, and he was going to create. And I think for us to assume that they can just keep on rolling and do everything because Adrian's a master and all this, and I agree with all that. But I think we're underestimating just how special Josiah Ramos. He answered the bell every time without exception, Steve. And that's not there. And I think we're underestimating just how important that piece was. And I'm not saying that they're not going to win and they're going to look lost without him. But with Josiah, you can just get him the ball and let him do his magic. That's not there anymore. Someone else will have to step up now. Now, I do think if Atrisco comes out and starts popping some threes early, Pata starts hitting threes, Javi Mendoza starts hitting threes, and Brooks starts hitting threes, and they get to the foul line when they drive, yeah, I think they're going to win this ball game. But let's just say it won't be as easy for them to win it as it has been in years past when you have Josiah.
Well, I agree with you. And if you look at historically, you look at Atrisco Heritage, they start hitting those threes at this time of the year. I mean,
Right.
for whatever reason, all of a sudden it's threes. And I think that's going to be the key for them to win the game. So putting you on the spot, Sandia, Atrisco, I know you got a little love for your Danny. But
Both guys, yeah, absolutely. I really, really respect both of those coaches, and they're so good. I think sometimes Danny doesn't get the credit he deserves because sometimes he gets a little crazy on the sideline, does a little singing on the post-game show, and people think he's just this happy-go-lucky guy, but he's an X's and O's guy. But man, Steve, I just don't feel comfortable picking against all that culture and history and tradition there. I'm gonna have to say Atrisco in overtime tonight.
Well, I'm going to say a close game, Atrisco Heritage, and I think the big key, and I say this, I think the home court is going to be a big difference tonight, and that's why I think that the threes are going to go down because the adrenaline's going to be going, and I tell you what, Atrisco Heritage got as good as fans as anybody in the state. So.
Well, the one thing that scares me about this game is if Sean picks up a foul early, a charge, or God forbid, a technical, right? Because he's such an emotional player, that could turn the game.
I agree. But I'm going with Atrisco Heritage, and
man, I'm kind of like thinking about changing my mind.
You can change your mind.
I don't know.
I don't want to. I don't want you to try to.
That's how good this game's
going to be. I don't
want
to influence you. Okay.
I
don't
appreciate that. I just think that's how good this game's going to be. But yeah,
No, it's going to be just like the game we watched last night. By the way, what a great game.
Yeah.
You know, while we're on that subject, I tell you what, that Sandia Prep and Santa Fe Capital, I tell you, not Santa Fe Capital.
St. Mike's, yeah.
St. Mike's.
I can't do it. I've picked against Atrisco before in the past, and it's always come back to haunt me. As much as I think Sandia can win this ball game, and let's be honest, if Sandia plays like they played at El Dorado, they will win this ball game. There's no if. They will.
No, I agree with you. This is a game. It's going to do. The reason I really, like I said, I think it's the home court. It's a long drive out there. There's a lot of elements that people don't put into this game.
Right. I did talk to Danny though last night. He said in APS there's no such thing as home court. He says every game in Albuquerque is considered a home game for both teams because everyone can go to all the games. So he obviously is downplaying that. But yeah, man, I hope it just lives up to what we're billing it up to be.
Well, I really, it is. It's going to be that way. And I tell you what, you're going to have to watch it on the NFHS channel unless you're a fortunate person to get a ticket.
Then that game might sell out.
It's probably already sold out.
Yeah.
Well, let's. How much time we have left there, Alden? We're gonna go to a break, and then we're gonna come back and pick up with the other side of the bracket.
Great.
High school sports are back. You can watch every ProView Network broadcast online on the NFHS network. Every moment from every game from every sport, including all NMAA state championship games. Get your monthly pass now. Just go to ProViewNetworks.com, click on the NFHS logo, and sign up today. Watch New Mexico's best.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number one in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We're having a little fun with Sebastian, Noel, the host of Local Focus, and I tell you, we're going to move to this next bracket, and is going to be a very interesting game with Las Cruces playing Los Lunas, and again, Travis Julian, first year in the tournament. Hats off to Los Lunas.
Yeah, they moved up, and everyone thought they would struggle. But, I mean, if you know Travis and if you know Marty Zeller, you know those two coaches weren't going to struggle moving to any level.
You're right. So let's kind of break this game now. Las Cruces is undefeated.
Well, they're undefeated, they're pissed, and they're motivated.
And home.
Yeah, and home, right? So, and I think that's going to spell trouble for Los Lunas. I really do. If you're a basketball junkie and you like to watch individuals, this game I think is going to feature the next two big Division I players to come out of New Mexico. You have the one that's already has an offer or two on the table, including from New Mexico State, and Deuce Benjamin. And you watch out for Jalen Holland. He's only an 8th grader. That's Wilson Holland's son. He can go. Those two, I think, are going to be the next big D1 guys to come out of here. So that'll be a fun little matchup, and they're at different stages in their development. But I just think Las Cruces has too much. I just think with Isaiah Carr, Caden Self, and the rest of those role players, and Steve, they're upset. I mean, they feel slighted, and they have a right to be. When you're the defending champion and you haven't lost the game since, and you got a 3 in front of your name, you have a right to be upset.
Well, to speed the process up, I think Las Cruces. I'm going to pick Las Cruces to win this game, and your pick.
I'll take the Bulldogs as well.
Going down to Carlsbad, we already spoke a little bit about Carlsbad, Roswell. Roswell's going to move forward. Carlsbad, COVID incident, they can't play. Their season's over. So let's go back to now. Let's just go back, and we can go a couple ways with this. We're going to have the Cleveland Trisco Heritage match, and that's 2 district teams. And you think that's the scary thing for Cleveland. They're going to be playing their same district, and that's always scary.
Yeah, because they're going to come in there, and they're going to come into that game without any of the swagger or question marks of the number 1 seed because the Trisco is going to be so familiar with them. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. Both teams know that the other can win against each other on either floor. They seem to always be tight games. I think, again, like we mentioned, I think Colby Wade and Crawford, they can guard Trey Watson. So then who guards Hasbury? Mendoza can guard Hasbury. Again, it comes down to a third option, right? So at that point, you start comparing 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th guys, and I think that's an evenly matched game. At that point, does Cleveland start to feel the pressure?
Well, we'll find that out. Okay, and here's my analogy of this game: is the only loss Cleveland had is to Trisco.
Right.
They were undefeated going into that. Still got the number 1 seed. In the back of their mind, it's a bench. It's a game. Hey, we're the dominant team. We're gonna come out home court. Those are the two advantages that I see, and two very strong advantages that Cleveland has going for them going into this game.
I do think, going back to the NCAA tournament and the UCLA game, right, in the semifinals, if that Sandia-Atrisco game lives up to what we think it's going to live up to, does Sandia take too much out of Atrisco? If that game is as close and as physical, and maybe I think it's going to go into overtime, does Sandia take too much out of Atrisco? Much like UCLA took everything out of Gonzaga, and then we saw the national championship, right?
No, good points. Good points. So, who's your pick?
Well, Steve, I think I'm gonna
be serious, dude. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I know this is a tough one.
Yeah, this one's tough, man.
I mean, this is. And you might be getting a lot of little text messages after you speak on this.
All right, let me say this though. I'm going to take Cleveland to win. I'm going to take Cleveland to advance here. I do think Atrisco is better equipped to take out Cleveland than would be Sandia. Let's put it that way. So, but I mean I know a lot of, and that's a lot of people's popular pick is Atrisco pulling this upset. I just think Cleveland, they're guarding a little better this year than in years past.
I think so too. I think that Cleveland has a bigger bench. Okay, and I think that they will really. Atrisco Heritage gets their momentum on threes, and the one thing that Cleveland can do is can guard them and make them shoot further out than they want to. So that's why I picked Cleveland to move on to the finals, and then. On the other side, we're going to have Las Cruces and basically
Roswell.
And I don't have a lot to speak about Roswell, so I'm going to leave more. I'm going to be listening to your analogy of Roswell.
Well, I think Roswell. They obviously have a star player in Taman Barella, and he can put up 30 any night. But Roswell got that number 2 seed on the strength of beating Nimi and beating Artesia, some lower teams, right? And
well, they beat Hobbs and Clovis.
Right.
Oh,
right.
I guess those are small teams
well,
too.
I know you got your love for Clovis.
In Isner, he took care of us, and you're going to say that they're a lower level team this year?
No, I said Nimi and Artesia. I just think Las Cruces has too much firepower. I think Las Cruces will win that game, and I don't think it will be very close.
Well, I truthfully think, just going across the bracket, it's going to be Cleveland and Las Cruces. And if you look at this bracket, it's really basically the North versus the South. It's
right.
It's the northern part of the state on one side of the bracket, and it's the southern part of the state on the other side of the bracket. And both teams are going to actually be representing North-South.
Right.
If our either way, our scenario, whoever's in the championship is going to be representing the North versus South.
And I do think if Carlsbad hadn't been eliminated because of COVID, I think this would have been a Las Cruces-Carlsbad matchup. But that's beside the point. We got Cruces and we got Cleveland.
All right, we got 1 minute left, and we got Cleveland and Las Cruces. So you got 30 seconds.
Well, as much as it pains me to do this, I think the drought is going to continue. I think Cruces is going to get them.
Well, in Coach Jimenez's deal, I just think of all the things you said earlier about Las Cruces, they're mad, they feel disrespected, and they got one of the top scorers in the state. I think he averages 27 points a game. They got somebody that can take over a game, and that's.
I always say that, Steve. It's very similar to the NBA. I always say the team with the best player on the court always has a little built-in advantage.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to find out. That was fun, Sebastian. I know you're going to be doing a lot of games this week, so am I. But it's going to be fun to see how good our predictions are, and just send all your emails to Sebastian Noel and let him do it.
Does this mean Sean's not going to golf with us anymore?
Anyway, hey, thanks for coming on the Steve Davis Show.
I appreciate you having me.